Well, Kevin, you know, after the last time that you butchered me for it for a long, long time, I went to bed that night like, Eternal Empire, Eternal Empire. So whenever it comes up, yeah, absolutely not falling for it. And yet again. Okay, so when it comes down to like these two in TVT, Big Gabe is the kind of guy that when it comes to openings, like there's the proxy racks stuff, you know, there's the expansion build and there's the safe double gas play. Big Gabe, literally, I can't remember the last time I saw him go for proxy raxes, which makes him a lot easier to open up against, purely because you can be pretty greedy with your openings, knowing that you're never really going to die against that kind of opening from HeRoMaRinE. And it definitely makes him, in my eyes, a lot more comfortable to play against. That being said, he's so good in the standard TVT games that it's no wonder why he chooses to avoid that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen him do it a couple of times, though. Indeed, in series where people will assume that he will never proxy Rex, then he actually does. And he's like, oh, I like to punish the greed every now and then. So, no, he's capable of doing it, but I'm with you. Like, nobody expects Gabe to open up with a proxy barracks or double proxy barracks Reaper on this map. I'm a little bit surprised to see them both open up with the SCV Scout, because that's already not super common in TVT, right?
It's common with like an expansion build. You can also do it with a double gas, kind of signifying that you're not doing what you're actually doing. HeRoMaRinE started with the barracks first, then gas, meaning he goes for this Reaper, then Marine opening. Very safe usually. And Eternal Empire, it is one of those maps where aggression is a little less common, purely because it is so large. But so far, this was like a hopefully cheeky poke, trying to get your opponent with just a Reaper out and maybe cancelling or at least killing the SCV on the low ground, but did not work out. So the start is definitely a little bit better for HeRoMaRinE.
I mean, these two have played quite a lot recently, and I remember one game on Eternal Empire very recently. I don't know what tournament it was, because they meet in so many different tournaments at the moment. But uThermal spoke about this, and he said, it was one of my top 5 throws in my career, probably top 3. After he opened up with proxy barracks' Reapers, basically got the first Reaper kill, got a whole bunch of SCVs already, and then he ended up losing 5 Reapers trying to kill a heli, and then they all got surrounded. And he's like, that was one of the biggest throws I've ever had, like, hands down.
Yes, I remember watching that. It's like it actually started off pretty well as well. Like he killed the Reaper and then went behind the mineral line. It was like, oh gosh.
It looked game over. Like when I was watching that game, I actually stepped away for a second. I was like, yeah, this game seems over. And all of a sudden I come back and HeRoMaRiNE's in the lead. And I'm like, what? Whoa, we've got a fusion core opening. All right, Ben, talk to me.
Okay. So the first time that I saw this, Kevin, it was Innovation against Maru. And, you know, when it comes down to Innovation versus Maru, oh gosh, this was... Wow, that Reaper kind of almost got through here, but does see the 4 Hellions. Okay, so when I first saw Innovation against Maru with this, getting out a few BCs, he absolutely walked all over Maru with it. Like, the very, very generic standard opening for TVT is like Raven, Cyclone, Marines, and stuff. So uThermal whipping out a BC build to start off this series, this is exactly what I was thinking, like, within regards to we have crazy against pure consistency.
But... are we not a little bit worried that this could fall completely flat on its face?
It definitely could.
But what is uThermal aiming for here, though? Is it like just to get a couple of SCVs? Is it to do a whole lot more? Like, what is he looking for?
I'm actually not entirely sure. I think when I saw Innovation do it, he actually had 2 starports when he was doing this. So there wasn't enough interference matrix to actually shut them all down. And then you can get Yamato Cannon out, but so far, I think he's saving up enough minerals to go for a 3rd, which he is, so it isn't a super all-in by any means. Like, this is just a opening for him. I genuinely...
Is he teleporting this to the other side of the map immediately? And do you go for a super aggressive teleport into the main base, or what's the plan?
I actually have no idea, Kevin. Like, this is something that is very rare in this matchup. I would imagine that he's going to wander it across, and like he's got the Hellions for a bit of map control here. Oh, doesn't see the fusion core, but is it going to
might see the battle cruiser? If he's paying attention at this point, he would have seen it. Well, he's about to get the heads up anyway, because it is indeed just teleporting into the back of the main base immediately. But there's a Cyclone there, so we are going to get the lock on. This BC is going to be annoying. At the same time, the Hellions are diving into the natural, I believe, so HeRoMaRinE has to be very careful there as well.
I'm not sure I like this for uThermal, though. I mean...
he might lose it. He might lose it.
Oh, the lock-on. It actually ran out of time.
Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? A 15 HP battlecruiser does survive, but since the command center was a little bit later, the Hellions have now gone down. Yeah, all 4 Hellions went down because HeRoMaRinE had a tank as well. I mean, this looked like it did nothing to me.
Yeah, I don't feel it did that much. I I don't know what to say, Kev. Like, he got a few units killed, but that's quite a bit of tech for a really, really big unit that doesn't really achieve that much.
Oh, the Vikings are on the hunt as well, man. Top Gun, you were talking about it. Maverick and Iceman, they're looking for the BC. That BC is just kind of hiding in the bottom right side and is probably going to wait until tactical jump is ready again. So HeRoMaRinE with some good moves here, trying to cut off the path, but it's not going to find it.
No, and that BC does get home. It is going to get repaired up and such, but still such a massive investment for that. And I guess one thing that we can say for uThermal, behind it all, he's getting his upgrades going. Like, 1-1 is already on the way. And HeRoMaRinE, he actually thinks it's mech by the looks of it. Because he's thinking in his head, no way can my opponent be crazy enough to go for a BC opening and then into bio, can he? Wrong, you're against uThermal.
Well, maybe this Hellion Scout is going to give HeRoMaRinE the heads up. Can always land another scan as well. But he still has that Raven at home that he eventually throws down the scan. And now he's going to see it. Stimpack actually just finished up. So it almost looked like a fake there. But that was just the timing of Stim finishing up. I mean, we are even worker-wise, and obviously the fact that that battlecruiser survived is nice. But I think we sometimes underestimate how expensive it is to repair a battlecruiser that's all the way down to 15 HP, right?
I mean, that BC is definitely a sad BC right now. But one thing that really screams at me is the fact that HeRoMaRinE was only on 1 engineering bay. And that's going to be a dead BC. Just have to use some energy to get it, though, which is, a little bit unfortunate.
uThermal is going to try to ambush his army, by the way, as the tank is still inside of the medevac as well. All the turrets could go down. Ben, no, it's going to be an anti-armor missile, but I'm not sure if that's the correct choice. Maybe in the end it is. It's the Vikings landing as well is actually going to make the difference here for HeRoMaRinE.
He can actually get away with all his tanks if he really wants to, but the medevac does get shot down, and some nice tank juggling by uThermal. And uThermal does keep most of his tanks alive. That was a fight without combat shield for him, and without his 1-1 finishing, but he does slow down the push. But as I was saying, Kev, the second engineering base started up really late for HeRoMaRinE because he was so convinced that he was against mech. So you see that +1 armor only just starting now, and uThermal's already started his +2/+2.
Yep, and uThermal's macro has definitely been on point, right? You spend a lot of resources repairing that battlecruisers, now repairing tanks again, but he's been building SCVs non-stop, even if third command center was a tiny bit later as well. So I'm a little bit surprised to see uThermal being actually the one who's ahead in workers, because I think if there's one thing that Gabe is always incredibly good at, it's building SCVs non-stop.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show that uThermal's also very good at that when it comes down to it. A little supply block here and there for uThermal, but upgrade-wise, like, finally Combat Shields is coming online, and he'll be constantly checking out HeRoMaRinE's units. And seeing that he had a few Marauders in the mix, I think uThermal's probably going to be feeling quite a little bit of confidence behind that, because that does definitely show that his opponent was definitely messed up by his weird opening.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. It didn't do much, but it's still cool. It's also nice to start the best of 5 with something feisty, right? It's going to keep your opponents pretty honest in the upcoming games. Because HeRoMaRinE at this point is probably thinking like, all right, Matt Mark is back and he's capable of pulling off anything, apparently.
Yeah, and just for setting the pace of the series, like, that kind of stuff can really make you go like, whoa, what has this guy got planned for me?
There are so many turrets, by the way. If Gabe thinks of dropping the natural of uThermal, I'm not sure if I like this idea, Ben. There are like 3-4 turrets here. 3 it is in the end. This is painful. A lot of medevacs are going to go down. There's plenty of Marines as well to save the day. I don't think this drop is working out, even though a couple of SCVs have gone down. I think uThermal's more than ready to deal with this. And now it's uThermal's turn on the other side of the map to try to make something happen.
Yeah, like, getting rid of the Cyclones, they're kind of useless as the game goes on, but it wasn't the kind of trade you were really looking for. And now those medevacs, like, getting out of there, only 1 remains as well. uThermal behind all this, taking his 4th base a little bit faster than Big Gabe as well. Upgrades are coming online very soon.
Oh, sorry, Ben, but I love this army movement by uThermal. Gabe has no idea where this army is at the moment, and that means that uThermal can get a fantastic position there on the high ground with tanks. Beautiful movement, and this is actually very, very impactful.
Oh, can he take advantage of it? And yes, he can. So uThermal's 4th base was a lot safer than Big Gabe's, and Big Gabe right now has to pick this up and can't really get it rolling out. And oh, this is such a nasty spot. He does have the Raven still alive, so that anti-armor missile could pay up hugely here.
Yeah, but uThermal should probably fight nearest tanks, but he's a bit distracted because he's also triple dropping the natural of HeRoMaRinE. So HeRoMaRinE is going to clean this up, but not before he has to worry about another problem. And that is a double drop in his natural. The tank is going to get picked off. This eBay could get in some trouble as well. HeRoMaRinE is going to send as many units as he can. I gotta say, in the end, Gabe handled this really well, but I think uThermal misplayed the army in the bottom a little bit at the end.
Yeah, I think maybe he got a little bit too reckless with the Marines running forward, but still, we got to give uThermal credit for the fact that he's got 3-3 started up behind all this. So macro-wise, he's not really gone all in at all. He's been very on top of that.
And this is, of course, 4 bases against 3. These tanks are a bit by themselves, and uThermal's going to stim forward, pick all 3 of them off. Just like that. We'll get out of there with a couple of Marines as well. HeRoMaRinE does have the bigger army at this point. But you really run into tanks, especially if you're down in those bio upgrades as well.
Yeah, I like they're both obviously playing really well. I'm always so impressed by the fact that HeRoMaRinE has managed to get out as many units as he does, despite being under so much pressure. And that just also goes to show that siege tanks defensively, if you do utilize them properly, despite being behind in upgrades and everything.
uThermal wants to get the hell out of there, and he will be able to. HeRoMaRinE now already going into double Liberator production, by the way. Has to be careful that he doesn't get too overeager, as this time he got a bit too far ahead. Ends up losing a Viking. I felt like uThermal should have just played it slower with his army at the bottom. That was a pretty big army, and I think it would have been really hard for HeRoMaRinE to engage that army. Instead, uThermal kind of engaged HeRoMaRinE while he was setting up that double drop in the natural, but because he was the one engaging this far into enemy territory, he was obviously down in units, and he made that a little bit easier for HeRoMaRinE than I think it should have been.
Yeah, I think just being happy with your position, you got up your 4th faster, and you're also denying the 4th from mining. Just, I know it's kind of said time and time again, but when you are getting ahead, being in a position like that, it's okay to be a little bit patient, but we really see their roles coming into this game. Like, uThermal wants to be aggressive, he wants to be crazy, and HeRoMaRinE, he's seemingly very comfortable being kind of on the back foot, but defending everything very well thus far.
There was a drop with 8 Marines trying to get into the natural of HeRoMaRinE, but it didn't get anything done at all. It just died to missile turrets. At the same time, we've got 2 Liberators cruising to the other side of the map. I'm a bit surprised to see how hyper-aggressive uThermal is. He's been playing very patient StarCraft over the last few weeks. He loves just sitting back, getting those mech armies up. This time, he is hyper-aggressive, comes out guns blazing. I would not have predicted this, Ben. If you would have hid the name tag, I would have never said that this was a uThermal game.
Oh, it's getting very uncomfortable now between both of them. Like, they're both getting all the upgrades. And look at uThermal. He's even finishing up building armor and the high sight auto tracking for the turrets and the PFs as well. But right now, he's looking like he's struggling to find an opening. And that's because HeRoMaRine's done such a job of surrounding this. And look at this, by the way. He's ready to surround this 360 degrees.
Yep, HeRoMaRinE is going to come in from every single angle and we'll clean this up in the end, but uThermal is going to try to get the best possible trade. It's just an awkward fight at this point, but with HeRoMaRinE coming in from multiple sides, it should be good enough in the end, but somehow it's not. uThermal Marines hold their ground and 2 tanks survive as well. What the hell was that? I guess upgrades.
3-3 against 2-2, and it's right before +3 finish for HeRoMaRinE. So I loved some of the things he was doing. He was unloading with a single medevac, distracting the tank fire, but overall, the upgrades, I just don't think he was ready for that kind of disparity.
And at the same time, uThermal is now going up to 4 starports while getting advanced ballistics as well. But he's got so many Marines, he's just diving on top of this planetary. He's going to try to get a couple of his tanks in range as well. And he should at least have 1 or 2 that are saved. That 1 tank of HeRoMaRinE is probably going to go down as well to the tank of uThermal. uThermal is playing at a blazing pace that I really did not expect out of him. But he looks damn good in doing it, man.
Oh, he certainly does. Even being aggressive with this dropship as well, taking out the tank on the high ground. The supplies is still so incredibly close, but uThermal behind all this, he's expanding like a madman as well. The tanks reigning supreme. All the units of HeRoMaRinE are falling. There's such a big amount of Marines being produced by HeRoMaRinE, though, 15 at a time. Is he going to break through?
What a game. HeRoMaRinE now has caught up in upgrades, and that means that his Marines are going to trade a little bit better. He's got there's 1 Viking fighting a 1 Viking in the sky as well. As the scan goes down, HeRoMaRinE somehow keeps his planetary fortress alive. But on the other side of the map, uThermal's macros off the charts. He's on 6 bases at this point. He's rallying reinforcements to the other side of the map as well. Ben, the fighting doesn't end.
It really doesn't. HeRoMaRinE is running a little bit dry here, though. He's on 120 supply with 57 workers. uThermal, on the other hand, yeah, as you called it, Kev, 6 bases with 80 SCVs. He is so healthy right now. He can take inefficient trades, but the thing is, he's taking very efficient trades. The resources lost tab is in his favor while he's mining so much more.
I am so impressed by uThermal this game. I really did not expect this. I thought uThermal was going to have his traditional kind of turtle. Let's play some mech, get a bunch of Vikings in the sky, then add a few Ravens. You know, that's just how he's been playing TVT over the last few weeks. And that's all I've seen from him so far. And it seemed even frustrating to go up against. This is like uThermal's going full Clam or Cure on us or something. And he's everywhere at once. He keeps fighting. HeRoMaRinE apparently has troubles keeping up at this pace that uThermal's playing right now.
I think this all started with the trickery. Like, as you said, he has been playing a lot of mech, right? And HeRoMaRinE was like, okay, BC, it's obviously going to be mech, right? Absolutely wrong. And immediately, like, to start things off, uThermal threw a spanner in the works. And, oh, he's been playing this absolutely perfectly, just making it so difficult for Big Gabe. And even this positioning right here, just, like, being annoying on both sides, it's perfect by uThermal.
Yep, the first Liberators are going to show up now as well in favor of uThermal. Don't forget, he's got like 5 starports right now, Ben. He's on 5 starports. He can produce whatever the hell he wants. He's got advanced ballistics already because that fusion core is something he still had. HeRoMaRinE's going to stim forward one more time. He's going to try to clean up this army, but it's not going to be enough. uThermal takes game 1, and oh my goodness, did he look damn good in doing so. I'm really impressed, Ben, and I'm loving it.
Me too. I think there was a lot of really noteworthy things that game. A, the fact that uThermal did what he did and got ahead so hard with it too. Mind games are absolutely here, and kind of utilizing his image against his opponent was super cool. I think HeRoMaRinE was actually standing strong really well despite being behind in upgrades, but all it took was one fight, and that was that bottom fight, right, in the bottom side that really didn't go his way, and then uThermal capitalized, and it was that upgrade advantage that he got right from the get-go. And it was because of things like HeRoMaRinE going the 1 engineering bay and stuff early on, because he thought he was against mech. Just beautiful.
Yeah, it felt like the +3 bio weapons, or attack rather. I think it was seconds away from finishing up. I think it finished right when that big fight ended. But you know what? That's one of these fights I can't even really blame Gabe, because we're both looking at it and we've got full vision. And we see his setup and he's coming in from multiple angles. Maybe there could have been a few more Marines coming from the right side, but it looked like a good engagement. It looked like it was all right to engage that army with everything that he had. But that was only a portion of the army of uThermal. So I would have probably gone for the same thing. And before the fight, I was like, this is a really good engagement by Gabe. It's just that upgrades are so damn important because Marines fire so quickly, of course, that it didn't work out. Also, it felt the Marine movement during that fight by uThermal. It was a bit awkward, right? Because it was like left, right, left, right. It's like they're doing the tango or something, Mambo number 5. Like, I don't know what they were doing. But they had perfect positioning and they kept those 2 tanks alive. It was awesome. Let's see what Game 2 has in store for us as we are getting ready to hop into Everdream. And Ben, I am missing an SCV of this man who's spawning in the right top side. He's representing Team Liquid up 1-0. It is uThermal.
And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, kind of bamboozled in the first game, it is HeRoMaRinE. But no, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about that last fight. I know uThermal was doing something very cheeky here. He's going for a double proxy racks by the looks of it. But yeah, the way that... And people are getting so good about this when they're getting sandwiched, taking on one side at a time, which is absolutely what uThermal did. He was like, okay, I'm going to fight the left-hand side. Oh, the right-hand side's getting closer. Going to stutter step over to there now and deal with that side as well. So, like, just absolutely perfect critical crisis management. And I know a lot of people might be like, if HeRoMaRinE just waited for those upgrades. When you have this outpost position of your opponent, it could literally be just a few seconds until uThermal brings reinforcements. Yep. So HeRoMaRinE doesn't know that. He has to kind of take the opportunity and pounce. But it was just very, very good positioning by uThermal.
I thought HeRoMaRinE played a good game. It's just uThermal played a fantastic game. That's kind of how I look at game one. I really wouldn't be too critical about it. HeRoMaRinE is scouting with an SCV once again. That's back-to-back SCV scouting for Gabe. And I'm a dedicated sub to the Big Gabe stream, of course, Ben. And I watched him play quite a bit. And there was a time where he almost never SCV scouted, not a single game. So to see him open up with 2 SCV scouts here in this series, I mean, this is fantastic because it's the Marauder build coming out of uThermal. Was it Marine Lord who tried this build as well against HeRoMaRinE on Pillars of Gold? And Ben, it was one of the saddest professional games I've seen in the entire season because HeRoMaRinE was just chilling on one base. And the Marauders are just standing there on the low ground. It's like, well, we can't really go up the ramp. We can't kill the bunker. We definitely can't kill the factory or something. We can't get in there. And then eventually HeRoMaRinE gets a Banshee out and it's just game over, because Marauders are looking in the sky and it's like, well, that's kind of a problem that we're not really equipped to deal with.
Yeah, I know those guys on the BNet forums have been talking about Marauders should shoot up, man, but no, they wouldn't. Well, they shouldn't. They would be too damn good. But I'm a little bit curious about pulling out this build on this map, because normally on Turax Reaper maps, you have 2 ways into your base, which makes it a lot more difficult. But getting the first Reaper, oh, nice grenade. So he does get away, but he's got 1 bunker placed in a position that's actually still pretty good against the Marauders. Yeah, of course. So I'm kind of like, oh, is this the best map to pull this out on? And I'm not sure it is.
Well, I am very worried here for uThermal because now that Reaper is also going to head to the other side of the map, and 1 Reaper may not seem like a big deal, but if you've got nothing at home that can fight a Reaper, uThermal needs to hope that he gets a magical surround, right? That HeRoMaRinE slips up. Otherwise, this is going to be a 4, 5, 6 kill Reaper, and that means that uThermal's in all sorts of trouble.
He's already in all sorts of trouble, Kev. Like, you kind of want to do this build maybe against like double gas openings when they've already committed to things like the second Reaper and the Hellion and stuff, but HeRoMaRinE has just not been doing it. He's been going for these expansion builds, and
oh no,
behind all this, he's feeling so safe as well. I like uThermal. He's trying to deal with this Reaper in the main base, getting out of Hellion. I like that move. He's also bringing over his barracks for high ground vision. We'll be able to get the depots, but it feels like such a gnarly position to be in. Ooh, he's running up the ramp.
By? Okay, he's just gonna run past. That's kind of cool, but the SCVs are not that bad. You have to be super careful now. A Cyclone is out as well. Oh, can he get the Cyclone? He does get the Cyclone, but I still feel uThermal needs so much more than what he's getting so far.
He certainly does. Like, we have to remember that he's still on just 1 CC, and when you walk up that ramp, you see the 2 bunkers, but you also see the second CC from your opponent and the tech that he's getting. This is really, really bad for uThermal, I feel.
Yep, Starport is already done. First Banshee's on the way. uThermal didn't even start. Well, he just started his Starport. It's 2 base against 1, and HeRoMaRinE is the one with an SCV lead. That can't possibly be something that you're ever hoping for if you're the one opening up with a double Barracks proxy Marauder build. You know where this goes for uThermal. Like, if you're in uThermal's corner right now, and even if you have full map vision, what do you think is the best play he can make?
Well, there's only one avenue you can really go down, Kev. That's why you just leave, because it doesn't really get much prettier. Like that Banshee, I don't know whether he's just going to come out and start picking at these Marauders, because they're all going to eventually die, but this is just such a sad situation. Like, the way that HeRoMaRinE has dealt with this Marauder opening 2 games in a row now just makes me wonder, like, okay, I'm never, ever going to opt for this opening against HeRoMaRinE ever again.
You know, I don't know who said it, but one of the other commentators the other day was like, they always talk about this build being good. It was a different build, a Protoss build, but I never really see it work out like that. And I was kind of giggling because I was like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, they always hype it up and it never delivers. This Marauder proxy is one that I rarely see do well as well. Like, it seems like it's always an unfortunate build order scenario, don't get me wrong, because I know there are scenarios where it's obviously great, but every single time I watch the Marauder build, I kind of feel like it's dead on arrival. Like, I don't even really need to see how the game plays out. Because it's like, well, you're not going to break the bunker. You're not going to get into the main base. That's kind of it.
It's one of those builds that I feel it's much better against double gas openings, which are like the more safe opening, but it's not as good against this. But also, as time goes by and people get so good against certain builds, like I dare say the Stalker aggression build in TVP will get so figured out for Terrans that it's going to become like redundant, but it just shows you the evolution of some of these players and tactics and why they fall out of sorts, right? Because players get so good at defending them, and we might be looking at this being like, oh, well, with uThermal, he's not in the worst spot, right? Well, he is against 3CC, so he's definitely behind, and he's behind in workers, and He's going to be very behind in tech soon as well. It's just a really rough spot for uThermal to be in.
Yeah, but he's most likely going to play mech on this map then, right? Or I feel like he's too far behind to mirror what HeRoMaRinE is doing.
Yeah, there's that way of thinking about it. Like, might as well go mech, because if I try and catch up, I'm just forever going to be behind doing the same thing. But mech is so difficult when you're already on the back foot, because all it takes is one doom drop to get into your base and you're dead, or like one fight, you know, like taking the third base is already going to be a little bit difficult for him, I suppose. It's just really rough here.
Yeah, I thought maybe we're gonna see like a crazy 2-base push, double Raven and a couple of tanks, and hope to get in a great position, or hope to land some fantastic auto turrets or interference matrix. But since uThermal is going up to 3 bases as well, that makes him being aggressive pretty much impossible. I don't really see this going anywhere, and I want to be wrong. I want to see what uThermal has in store for us, but it really does feel like he's just kind of chilling. He's gonna sit back for a while, and he's hoping that HeRoMaRinE maybe oversteps his boundaries, gets a little over-eager, takes a horrible fight, and then suddenly uThermal's back in the game. We do see that double Viking production, by the way. This is the stuff that I have seen of uThermal non-stop in his TVTs throughout the last few weeks, and that's why I was so surprised with the way he played in Game 1. And I loved it. It was so cool to see uThermal play like that.
Okay, so he is going to go for Metcalf. Initially there, when he switched the barracks onto the tech lab, I was like, okay, he's going to be playing very standard, trying to play the catch-up game. But I don't know if he was actually expecting a scan to come in when it did, or whether it was wanted it 10 seconds before to kind of trick that he was going bio. But yeah, he's going well into mech here. HeRoMaRinE, he actually went for the extra barracks before the engineering base, so he's got out that big army that we were talking about, and he's got 2 Banshees still in position to be really annoying against uThermal as well.
Yeah, it's important that Gabe pays attention, though, because I've seen Gabe be a little bit sloppy over the last few weeks with his harassment units, and there's a Cyclone and a turret waiting for him in the main base. Now, obviously, he's going to pay attention to his tanks. These tanks are getting in a pretty dicey position, though. They might get in range of the factory and barracks real soon.
Yeah, this is very tough to defend for uThermal. So far, he's done a really good job of just kind of, shadow boxing against his opponent. This Banshee could cause a little bit of problems. He does have Vikings, and this is when it gets gnarly when you're a mech player. You don't have the units to really run around very quickly. We do see Stim and Combat Shields is done. He deals with the Banshee in the natural, but HeRoMaRinE, he's being very good at sharking around and just making uThermal's life difficult.
Yep, he's pulling uThermal out of position with the double drop in the main base. At the same time, the tanks at the bottom are going to try to get in range of that orbital. HeRoMaRinE is going to drop a couple of units on top of the tanks as the Marines are still going crazy in the main base. But if we look at this move, that is a way to deal with a couple of tanks that are left by themselves. And Ben, I think this is going to be it. uThermal was in a terrible position. He tried to bring it back with some mech play, but he's taking kind of a beating here. He's going to show up with the Ravens, though, and maybe try to hang in there a little bit longer.
Raven's doing a little bit of magic, and he's taken out all the medevacs, but there's just too much HeRoMaRinE. Safe and solid is the way in Game 2, and HeRoMaRinE ties up the series.
Yeah, I think just off the back of a scout early on, and then getting pretty fortunate with obviously not going for something like a low ground expand. I mean, there are scenarios where maybe HeRoMaRinE doesn't scout, and he does go for a low ground expand, and then the Marauders show up, and the Marauders can be game ending, but I think the last 3 or 4 times I saw somebody do this build against HeRoMaRinE, it always looked like this, where he's just building his CC on the high ground, he's getting a bunker, and then it's like, oh, now I have one job, and that is micro my Reaper on the other side of the map, and I'm going to be in a great position.
Yeah, like that build can definitely be a lot better. Say if there's a far away spot from the ramp where you want to walk up with the Marauders, where you have to put a bunker because of the potential of Reapers. But on this map, it was just like, okay, I just build one bunker at the front, and I've got not only the jump ramp covered against the Reapers, but I've also got the ramp covered against the Marauders. So it definitely felt like maybe uThermal just, given that he's 1-0 up, maybe he can just test something to see if it could be useful later on in the series as well. Like, this felt like one of the worst maps for it. It also has to be mentioned, that was the map that when they played in the group stage, I think, that uThermal ended up losing in a fairly similar fashion. He went for something very aggressive, HeRoMaRinE countered and then killed the third, like basically in the same way. So maybe uThermal just wasn't that comfortable about that map.
Well, the next map is going to be Death Aura, and I can feel it. uThermal is going Raven, lots of Vikings tanks. He's going to mech it up, Ben.
I would not be surprised, Kevin. I do love it when he plays a good mech game. And speaking of the little devil spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, as our blue Terran, it is uThermal.
In the bottom right side, the main base of our German Terran player just managed to tie things up. It is HeRoMaRinE.
Already a feisty series between these two. And I do love when you have rivalries like this building, because I've seen both of them talk about the other one, and they do actually respect the other guy a lot for all the strengths that they have and all the things that they don't possess personally. So talking about uThermal's craziness, but also like his fire, and then HeRoMaRinE just being a very solid all-round contender against anybody that he plays, seemingly, which is beautiful. And this game, we see something very different from both. So HeRoMaRinE is opting for the double gas opening, the more safe opening, and uThermal opting for that 2 barracks opening, but in his base this time.
Yep. I mean, there must be so many mind games between these two as well, right? They've had like 5 or 6 official series over the last few months, and a couple of them very big as well, often deep in a European Pro Tour weekly. I think the one that uThermal managed to win, he took out HeRoMaRinE as well in the semi-finals. I forgot which tournament it was, but I don't know if you saw the game that these two had on Ice and Chrome a couple weeks ago. It was, without a doubt, one of the best games of the year, and I'm honestly not exaggerating. It was just
the mech
mad
versus Bio, yeah?
Yeah, on Ice and Chrome. It was so sick. I don't know if you were casting it perhaps as well. So cool.
I think I was, actually. So yeah, I definitely got to see it, but I do remember it. Like, uThermal's mech is very, very scary. You saw HeRoMaRinE trying to deal with it in every way possible, like the big sky switches and stuff. It was just awesome to see. So this game, the 2 racks in your base, I know uThermal likes to go about it in a different way. Very often, Terrans go up to like 3 Reapers just to be aggressive. You get your bio out pretty quickly. But he likes to go up to 5 Reapers and such, which can make it a lot more gnarly to deal with. But also it hits at different timings. But we'll see what he chooses to do, actually.
Where do you think Gabe is going with his build order, since he did aim for the double gas opening with that quicker factory?
So this can also go in very different ways, but usually it can either be 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion, or 2 Reaper, 1 Hellion, which it looks like it will be that variation. You get up your 3rd gas pretty quickly. You get a Cyclone out, start your Marine production. This is something that Innovation popularized quite some time ago. It's just a safer way to start getting online with faster Marine production than the old school, like, 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion thing.
Well, uThermal does have an SCV scout. It's obviously very late, but it's going to show up in the natural now, maybe right when the units of HeRoMaRinE leave. So uThermal is actually going to get a decent idea of what he's going up against. Spotting the commands at the timing is already a very big tell for guys of this level. Gets into the main base as well. May as well just hide it there. HeRoMaRinE is going to be a little bit frustrated to see that a casual SCV just managed to walk into his base 3 minutes and 20 seconds in.
Yeah, this doesn't really reveal anything that uThermal probably didn't already know, but for HeRoMaRinE being like, well, damn, you know exactly what follow-up I was going for now, even though Terran follow-ups are fairly obvious and stuff, but uThermal, he looked at this and he was like, okay, I need a Cyclone against this, which I'm a little bit curious about, because if I scout that, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be under too much aggression anytime soon, but oh, HeRoMaRinE actually opting to play the aggressor here with the medevac. This is interesting.
Yeah, HeRoMaRinE often talks about how Clem always opens up with the medevac in this matchup. He's like, every game, Clem always goes medevac. I was like, can't you take advantage of that, Gabe? He's like, yeah, I do it. I was like, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. So do you like the Cyclone then for uThermal as a defensive unit here, or would you prefer to see him build something else?
I'm not entirely sure. So it honestly depends where this medevac wants to go. If it wants to get right under this cliff in that position that uThermal's very much defending right now with his Reapers, then the
uThermal's army is kind of weak in a straight-up fight, though, right?
Yes.
Especially if the bunker does not participate in the fight. One Reaper hops to the low ground. Very unfortunate moment to do so. That tank gets in a position. It's not super close yet, but it is somewhat close, and it is going to get in range of that tech lab, I think, eventually. That was the funniest little bunny hop I've seen in a while. Cyclone does lock on the medevac, but good job there by HeRoMaRinE moving it out of vision. I hate this for uThermal. It seems like this is already a very frustrating position to deal with.
Yeah, and look at all these add-ons that are available too. Like, this is very, very gnarly. The auto turret does go down, and that will deal a lot of damage, but it's already taken out by this tank. And these Marines on the low ground, they're not going to achieve very much. And right now, uThermal feeling a little bit flustered, and GG immediately. Wow, what a way for HeRoMaRinE to just be like, hey, okay, I lost the first game, and then boom, win the second, win the third. Guys, we will find out what happens in the rest of this series right after this break. Hello, hello. We're currently in a series between HeRoMaRinE and uThermal. HeRoMaRinE looked a bit shaky at the start, getting 1-0, but he has brought it back very confidently and now is 2-1 up against Liquid's uThermal. And Kevin, we're a bit confused from that last game because as you were saying, it looked like uThermal had a perfect scout. This SV just nonchalantly wandered into his opponent's base, and then uThermal, he just absolutely was not prepared for that sort of attack.
No, he had a bunker as well in his natural, opened up with multiple Reapers, but the Reapers were just kind of chilling there, and obviously uThermal lost one Reaper before that even really started, but I'm not sure if one Reaper really would have made all the difference. Anyway, we'll talk more about it soon. We are, once again, on Ice and Chrome. On the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the Dutchman. He needs to win this if he wants to keep his tournament's hopes and dreams alive. It is uThermal.
And spawning over in the top right-hand side, feeling confident, feeling big, it is HeRoMaRinE.
I think what mostly leaves me flustered so far is that nothing in this series is going in the way that I expected it to go. I never expected uThermal to play as hyper-aggressive as he did in Game 1, and then look so damn good in doing it, having great macro at home, just being everywhere at once, taking fantastic trades, just played at a higher pace than I've seen him play TVT in a long time. Then I assumed that victory would be really important for him and would be kind of demoralizing for HeRoMaRinE, because both these guys have been in a rough spot mentally, right? Then Game 2 happens, and it's the exact same thing as the last time somebody tried to build Marauders against Gabe. It's like, well, they did a little more than that game, but it's kind of game over at that point. And then Game 3 is just so strange to me, where uThermal opens up, 2 Rex Reaper, just sits at home, never moves out, and then dies against the first little tank push.
Yeah, so I think upon scouting, HeRoMaRinE, or rather uThermal, was probably thinking, it's just a standard Raven opening, which that build absolutely does lead into. And if I'm in uThermal shoes, I would love to ask him, or rather, I would love to ask uThermal what he was thinking, because yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, that he was just expecting the Raven opening, and then maybe getting a Cyclone for that Raven harass and stuff that could be later on down the line, given that he wants to go into pretty heavy bio production with 2 medevacs and be out on the map and stuff. But absolutely caught with his pants down. And
was there a tech lab on the starport last game?
I do think that something maybe got cancelled, which would also be very clever by HeRoMaRinE. But still, it definitely feels like uThermal in this series feels he needs to trick Gabe a little bit or catch him off guard with the openings, because so far he's done a lot of the very, very risky plays, which absolutely haven't worked out. And is this going to be a proxy starve? Oh, no. Okay. I was just looking at his gas count, and it is a seriously high number of gas.
We'll see where he
Tech
goes
lab
with
on the barracks. Oh, this could definitely be like a Cyclone opener with like a magnetic field accelerator. But combined with the fact that he's got that SCV on the map, it was, yeah, unusual.
Well, he's going to get another good scout with his SCV. It's important that uThermal is paying attention, is that you're HeRoMaRinE trying to line up the first shot. And I think he got a little bit of splash damage, but doesn't really want to commit there. At the same time, we do have that scouting SCV of uThermal being annoying on the other side of the map.
Yeah, so I don't know if you ever feel like this, Kev, when you have a player from your respective race that you know is so damn good, but they feel they have to do weird openers in a mirror matchup, because that to me says, well, they're obviously not that confident in it, but it's a very easy way to put yourself behind. And
I mean, it's also a way to make the game even more complicated than it is, right? Star 2 is already an incredibly complex game, and sometimes you're just thinking a few steps too far ahead, while your opponent is having a relatively basic and simple approach. But uThermal with the double factory Cyclone opening here, well, that's one hell of an opener.
And I'll tell you why it's confusing for me, and I would love to be like a mental coach for uThermal. uThermal, out of these two players, I would say uThermal's micro is better. Not because HeRoMaRinE's micro is bad. HeRoMaRinE's got very good micro too, but uThermal has some of the best micro that you can get in StarCraft 2. So the fact that if he goes up against the same units, that like if he does a regular build, that he's not confident in doing that, yeah, that's alarming.
I mean, that may not necessarily be the case, though, right? I don't think we can really come to that conclusion. Maybe uThermal is just indeed trying to feel like, I know that Gabe is probably going to be a bit tricky, so I want to be a bit tricky too, because I don't want to be outsmarted by Gabe, and we don't really know what's going on. I don't think uThermal is necessarily afraid to play 100% mirror against Gabe. It's just there are so many different openings in TVT, and all these little things make a big difference. Now, Magfield Accelerator is down. The lock-ons are going to be very important here. First Cyclone goes on, but he locks on a Marine Band. That can't possibly what you want there.
No, it is not. And he did reveal that he does have that upgrade. Now, he will have map control, and trying to take a third base if you are HeRoMaRinE is a little bit difficult against this. Oh, he'll get his own couple of Reapers, so that's nice. Denying scouting is very important. But yeah, this Cyclone count is going to keep on ramping up. What is that little red dot in the bottom right?
Shouldn't HeRoMaRinE be very careful? Why is he moving forward with 2 Cyclones and tank? I guess he just wants to have better tank positioning. That red dot is the Raven. I thought you were in the game as well, Benjamin.
I was just wondering, like, if you're under so much pressure from Magfield Accelerator, the fact that HeRoMaRinE was moving out to the ramp, and this went as bad as it could go for uThermal.
I don't think it was supposed to go anywhere at all. I think that was just an accidental misrally on one of those Cyclones. uThermal just losing 2 Cyclones, which if you're trying to snowball your Cyclone count out of control and you invest in Magfield Accelerator as well, you definitely want way more than uThermal got done so far. HeRoMaRinE is probably going to feel a little bit confident now. Maybe the Raven can get something done for Gabe as well. There is a Cyclone patrolling on the bottom side of the map. Let's see if they can get the lock on Ben. That Cyclone is sleeping on the job as well. There is not much in the main base of uThermal at this point.
You know, Kevin, you were making fun of me for pointing out that red dot, but, you know, they're not always very easy to see. This could be nice. You could get a tank, but HeRoMaRinE with nice micro there, keeping the tank back and avoiding the lock-on. In HeRoMaRinE, he is doing everything right this game. Like, lots of barracks. Nice quick pull away against this Raven, but these turrets are still annoying and putting it down so the factory can't land. I love it.
Yeah, the next level play there. That's actually really cute. That factory is still in the sky. Forces out another action, of course, as well. We've got auto turret res in the natural as well. So there was another Raven that sneaked in there. This is dealing quite a bit of economic damage. 6 SCVs as well. I feel like that's a little more than you normally expect to get even.
I guess one saving grace for uThermal here is that one of those Ravens did die. That was a nicely placed turret. When I was looking at the engineering bay going down already for uThermal, I was kind of like, wow, that's very early. But it definitely reduced the Raven count by 1. But I am scared for uThermal. If he can survive up to about 150 supply, Mech gets incredibly strong, especially on this map. It's nice for defending, but HeRoMaRinE actually sussed out that he was against Mech much earlier this game. And you see the amount of tech labs that he has rolling already. He's getting all the good upgrades going, and he's going to have a very strong push very soon.
Well, if this game is half as good as the last time these two squared off on Ice and Chrome, I think we're in for one hell of a treat. That was just a fantastic game, but I don't think uThermal really had the opening he was looking for. We also know, I know this is a bit of a cliche, right? Mad Mark, emotional player, but he does get a little carried away sometimes in series and not necessarily in the right way if things don't go his way. And if you're already down 2-1, then having that Cyclone miscontrol, misrally, whatever it was in the beginning of this game, I'm afraid that these things can really mess with his mindset.
They can. He does have double armory on the way, so we'll start looking towards upgrades, but HeRoMaRiNE's already finishing up his +1/+1 right now. We have that cheeky drop in the bottom. uThermal did land a scan on the 3rd base, does see the 4th CC. That's quite a late 4th, so uThermal has to be careful about this.
I don't think he was paying attention, but he gets multiple lock-ons now. One tank goes down as well. No pickup now. Same time, HeRoMaRiNE really wants to get that double drop in the main base. Can we take a look? The Vikings were kind of sleeping on the job there. That means that a lot of these Marines do get in. And I have the feeling that this drop was never supposed to get this much done already.
No, it certainly wasn't. Denied mining, getting a few Cyclones as well, pulling a lot of the attention to the main base of uThermal. No. Lots of auto turrets do land, taking out the tank lines of uThermal. These turrets did a lot of damage, and HeRoMaRiNE, even though he's not going to kill his opponent right here, right now, that was a ton of resetting done, which is what you aim to do against Mech.
Yep, now he's got a couple of tanks already in good positions as well. Throws down the scan, though obviously doesn't have sky control. The Vikings, are going to keep it safe. I love this. It's the tiniest of drops in the back of the natural to get a few more SCVs. HeRoMaRiNE making a lot of very correct little plays right now. And uThermal, there's not much he can do other than just try to hang in there, try to not take any more damage. He's still at 67 workers, so honestly not all that bad. But since that turret got taken down, HeRoMaRiNE thinks he's going for it. Instead, he's going to try to drop on top of the tanks. It's a little bit risky. Steams forward, though, does get the multiple tanks over here. And uThermal's in quite some trouble, man.
He is, but he did kind of trade out here. That one tank in the back standing strong, and uThermal's probably breathing a sigh of relief there, because if those other tanks joined the fight from HeRoMaRiNE, he would have been in a lot more trouble. But there is so much HeRoMaRiNE marching out across the map, and uThermal really wants to be able to get up a 4th, and I think he wants to get this 4th that HeRoMaRiNE's kind of stationed at, but has to take the other one in return.
The Ravens are back as well, so we could get auto turrets or even interference matrix. And at this point, all the Vikings are gone, so it's a lot easier for HeRoMaRiNE to just drop things on top of these tanks as well. uThermal is really starting to run out of steam at this point. Doesn't have too many units to fall back to. The final tank is going to go down as well. It's just one tank, but if I'm HeRoMaRiNE now, can't you just go for the 3rd?
Yeah, just go for the 3rd, get the new position going, like move those tanks at the top down to like really lock in uThermal, and uThermal, he's just in a rough spot here. This 3rd base is naked. The Raven's still alive as well. Every second that goes by,